Hello, hello. So, a big gap between videos here is kind of a big gap in the news. Pretty quiet for a little bit here until just, 3, 4, 5 days ago, something like that. And then we've gotten a bunch of odds and ends, not all directly from UVS games, but still a bunch of stuff to go over. So, first and foremost, the past couple weekends, we've had the first two major regionals, the international ones over in OCE and the UK. Keandre Groenwood, I've probably butchered that name, and Sam Turner won OCE and EU respectively. Both finals were younger Toguro mirrors, both finals where they were all Death Toguros, I believe. Out of the 12 top cuts placements between those two events, there were 7 younger Toguros total, so, if provided that the Las Vegas regional looks about the same, or even if it doesn't, I would not be surprised to see some further action taken either against the Death Symbol or against younger Toguro or both. In that announcement, the next ban errata announcement is going to be a week from Tuesday, so still, a solid 12, 13 days from time of recording before we'll get anything there. But until then, we're going to have the Las Vegas Regional this coming weekend, and then Store Championships the following week-ish. It was originally slated to be specifically that weekend, but UVS Games kind of loosened up the timing a bit, and just a reminder, if your local store is planning to have one of these, you do need to get 8 people for it to count. So, do your best to rally the troops. There's no apparent prize support for these outside of CP, outside of championship points, and I guess there's some sort of playmat that's going out that's kind of just a Universus logo playmat with a generic background, but some people like it. So, it might be tough to get people to come to those if it's not at your regular locals time, but see what you can do. Stores are supposed to be getting things like fresh cut grass promos or Spy Family promos sent to them. We'll talk a little bit later. If any of those arrive in time, maybe you can use those as participation for these events. Just some ideas, but those will be coming up right the weekend after this NA Major Regional. Separately on the Major Regional front, we've had a change in, as mentioned before, Josh Massey came in to be the new organized play director. The previous organized play director, Alex Whiteside, has now left the company. I believe citing some health reasons or that sort of thing, or just understanding is he could kind of have retired at any time. He's just decided to go ahead and do so because, he more or less got replaced. Somewhere in the transition, hopefully just as a temporary thing, pretty much any and all communication about organized play has ceased outside of the event coverage. And so instead, we're kind of getting some rumors swirling around. TOs not necessarily caring about keeping things quiet. They don't really have a whole lot to lose at this point, and it sounds as though pretty much all of the major regionals for Season 2 and Season 3 are up in the air. They may not happen where they were supposed to happen. They may not happen when they were supposed to happen. Sounds like all of these events, save for the Season 3 EU event, are having issues finding venues to book, or they're possibly working on changes of venues. So, I would hold off on reserving any travel. Don't book any flights or anything like that to go to any of these until we get sort of renewed confirmation of the exact, times and places, dates, venues, ideally where they're going to be. It has come to light that the organized play outline of all the dates and stuff that was laid out at the start of the year was more of an aspirational statement than anything that they had actually, fully booked out. And they've been kind of winging it on the fly here, and it sounds like a lot of that's not going too well. So just, word of caution, if you haven't booked, your flights to St. Louis or to Spain or to wherever yet, maybe hold off on that until we get any sort of communication from UVS Games about what's going on with the upcoming organized play seasons. Maybe they're also going to change some things about the way the points work. It's a new OP director. He may want to change stuff midstream here. It's within his rights. The first season has sort of highlighted some things that maybe aren't great, so we'll see what happens with that. Stay tuned. Hopefully we get something on that front in the coming weeks, and also something on local organized play also seems to have ceased. In terms of official prize support, we are at the end of April. They have not announced an April promo yet, let alone a May one, and they certainly haven't sent stores any outside of sending stores some copies of things that they're selling on their web store. So a lot of flux, the transition not going too super smoothly, but we'll ride it out. Presumably it'll all be settled, within the next month or two or something like that. And speaking of down the road, we've got our first bits of Attack on Titan info, firm information about the Attack on Titan booster set that is coming out in August. I believe there was actually a specific release date that I failed to include here, but it doesn't matter too much right now. It's in August sometime. Presumably at a good time for them to show off the game at Gen Con. It kind of has to be their plan here. But this is not straight from UVS Games. This is sort of from sell sheet information that was posted on some distribution websites, that sort of thing that happens with every set. The set is listed as having 300 cards or more. And we don't know, there's some speculation that that may be calling alternate art separate cards. It might not. I don't think they've ever included alternate arts in card count before, so that would be a change, and there's nothing stopping. If they want to run Attack on Titan Spotlight, you could see them making a very big set, but just be aware this set is probably going to be quite large, even if that count includes alt arts. Should be the biggest set we've ever seen for this game in its 18-year history. Yeah, that's including some, maybe one of the old double releases was a little bit bigger, but anyway, aside from that, they've also talked about featuring some double-sided cards, both characters and other card types, which we've seen in Magic, and they've brought a bunch of Magic people over, so it's not a surprise to see that here. It does make some amount of sense for characters. We've seen some awkward designs like Fat Gum that maybe would have worked better if you could just flip your character over. So I assume we'll see some of that for sure in Attack on Titan. I don't know what they'll do with other card types flipping over that may or may not work out very well, but we'll see. They're not going to do starter exclusives in the Clash decks anymore outside of the characters themselves, so you no longer need to buy Clash decks unless you really want to play the character that, is on the box. And from other people picking up Clash decks to actually start the game, there might be some spares of those flying around that you can pick up for not as much as the Clash deck itself, but these things are usually pretty cheap anyway. So no big deal either way. Just not going to be part of the purchasing pattern anymore. You won't have to get Clash decks to get a bunch of starter exclusives. Challenger decks will still, of course, have a bunch of exclusive cards. They featured a single Challenger deck for the Attack on Titan set, and that might have some cards that are actually in the set, but it'll still have a bunch of distinct 2X type cards in it from the sound of things. Also, there's going to be 6 chromes in this set. There's very often been 4 or 5. This set's going to have 6. No other information on what they are or whatever, but I'm presumably they're going to be some of the main major characters of the IP. And that's about where we got on Attack on Titan. I'll put some links to the sheets itself it's on a few different sites. I'll just pick one and put some links in there, and you can look it over for yourself and see some of the pictures and that sort of thing. Other odds and ends. The Girl Power previews are wrapping up. They are going through the back page cards now. There's going to be probably a few more days of that, and then we'll have seen the whole set. Crunchyroll themselves actually got to put out an article showing off the chromes, and The Gamer, which has done an article of most of the recent sets, and probably showed off some the Challenger alt arts and things like that. They got to show off the reprint page. There's going to be some dozens or so just dedicated reprints in the set with alternate art treatments, as well as the secret rares for the set. So you'll link those articles. You can look at those there. I believe they're all on UVS Ultra by now. You can just look at them there too. A little earlier in the month, UVS Play launched a new official Learn to Play video using mythical creatures. It's like Wukong versus Perseus or Hercules. It's like Wukong versus Hercules, just general public domain IP stuff that they can just make demo decks of and not have to worry about any IP holder getting mad about how or when they use them or how they distribute them or anything like that. So that makes sense. They look like they're just carbon copies of the Attack on Titan demo decks that we saw, just with generic IP stuff on them so that they can use them more freely. The Redemption Shop just today or yesterday had the Yoko Form Redemption promo go up. People thought that was going to be the May local prize support promo, but I guess not. So nobody really knows what's going on with that. There's been no actual communication about anything related to these redemption promos or local prize support in a while, but it is up there. It's on the store. You can spend 60 points each to get some copies. If you just want the art, because the card itself is not very good. But it's got some some very spicy Kurama art on it, so Kurama fans are probably going to want to pick that up. And fun news, much more cool, exciting news, is we got an announcement that UVS Games has some amount of IP rights to Spy Family, specifically the Spy Family Code White movie. They're going to have they're going to be putting out a playmat for it. The playmat's going to come with a couple promos. The promos are not particularly competitively viable, so it's not like you have to buy the playmat now just to stay relevant in the game or anything like that. But they are cool. They're cute. So, some people are going to try to make this Anya character card work. She kind of just does nothing besides look at your opponent's hand, which is appropriate, but also not that competitively strong, but kind of interesting, right? So, if you're a fan of Spy Family, keep an eye out for that playmat. Local stores should be able to buy them and sell them, I would presume. They're also going to send some number of the promos to local stores, but not like a huge haul of them. But they'll be able to hand out some of those as well. All right. And that's going to be a wrap for this news update. We got Vegas coming up, so I'll be getting on an airplane in less than 24 hours to go to that. And we'll come back after that with any results. Maybe wait for that ban list, but depends on how much is going on. And yeah, until then, see you next time.